Welcome to Let the Quran Speak. I'm Sophia, your host. The Quran describes hell in vivid detail, but then adds something interesting. It says, over it are 19. What is this 19 that the Quran is referring to? We're going to be looking at that now as part of our Misunderstood Quranic Verses series. We're looking at chapter 74, verses 27 to 30, and with me is Dr. Shabir. Dr. Shabir, I will read the translation of these verses for you, and then we can talk about it a little bit. So this is how the translation goes. And what will make you realize what hell is? It does not let anyone live or die, scorching the skin. It is overseen by 19 keepers. This is the Mustafa Khattab translation, and he has keepers in brackets. So maybe you can tell us.
Yeah, so his translation has decided the issue that it's 19 keepers.
Yes,
yeah.
But it shows that the verse only says 19. So it's
exactly.
It's questionable what that 19 actually
is. So it says, alayha tis'ata ashar, over it are 19.
Yes.
And then there is a question, what is the it referring to?
Yes.
And what are these 19? Well, the it is easier for the classical commentators because prior to this, what was mentioned is hell, called by the Arabic name Saqar. Ma adraka ma Saqar. What will explain to you what the Saqar is? La tubqi wa la tadhar. It is that which does not leave anything and does not cause anything to remain. Like it's a double emphasis there. Lawahatul lil bashar. It scorches or burns the skin of human beings. And then it says alayha tis'ata ashar. Over it are 19. So the it obviously refers back to that thing which was being described just in the verses prior. And that is that which was called Saqar, and which is translated in the verse hell. And nobody denies that this is a reference to hell. So now, what are the 19?
Yes.
So classical commentators on the Quran said that these are 19 angels who are guarding hell. And the idea that there are guardians over hell, this is not strange. And the fact that there are 19, this depends on some traditions. But of course, there always traditions that support these commentaries that are given to us. Now, given that classical commentary on the Quran, it comes as a surprise that in the 1960s or so, there was an Egyptian biochemist who lived in America and who started to make discoveries when he fed the Quranic data into his computer programs, and he started to count things as they occur in the Quran, and he found that there are things that occur in multiples of 19, and amazingly so, to the extent that he could claim that there is a Quranic code that spreads throughout the Quran, a numerical code, such that this could not have been written by a human being. It must have been the work of God who made it the way it is. This verse must refer to that 19 code. Over it are 19. But the it here, on his interpretation, would have to refer to the Quran. Over the Quran. But the difficulty is that just before this verse, it's not the Quran that was being mentioned; it was the hellfire that was being mentioned. So that interpretation did not.
And I think also the it referred to, like, there's a feminine it and a masculine it, right?
Yes. So the same Arabic pronoun, which would be translated it for an impersonal pronoun, could be translated he or she for a personal pronoun. And the words in Arabic are grammatically masculine or feminine. Some words rarely are both, but could be used in either way. But just like in the English word, in the English context, we might refer to a country as she or to a ship as she. But other inanimate objects we would refer to as it. So this is just a rare exception in the English language, but in Arabic this is widespread. This is the norm. So the Jahannam, referred to in the feminine, Jahannam is another word for the hellfire, and this is throughout the Quran referred to in the feminine. So alayha, which is the feminine pronoun, translated it, would naturally refer back to Jahannam. It is Jahannam conceptually, though not the actual word that is used here. Whereas the word Quran in Arabic is grammatically masculine. So everywhere else in the Quran, the Quran is referred to as with the masculine pronoun. So if it was a reference to the Quran, one would expect that the masculine pronoun would be used here, alayhi. Tisat Ashar, but it's not that. That interpretation that 19 here is a reference to the numerical system did not come across well to scholars of interpretation of the Quran. That does not mean that 19 has nothing to do with the Quran. It is interesting that the researcher was spurred by this mention of 19, and then he perhaps wanted to see how many things are 19 in the Quran, and he found so many things coming out to be 19. And of course, the 19 is embedded in the Quran. Some things are obvious, but some things are deep. It's you have to count the number of words used, the number of letters used sometimes, and where they occur in relation to chapter and verse numbers. So just to give you some simple indications of this, like the basmala, which means which is the short way of saying Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, it comprises of 19 letters. So if we go ba, sin, mim, alif, lam, lam, ha, and so we count all of the letters, we see that that formula comprises 19 letters, and indeed that is at the head of the Quran, that is over the Quran as a whole. And it's at the beginning of every chapter except the ninth chapter of the Quran. And so one would see that there are 114 chapters of the Quran, which is 19 times 6. And so on and on we go. Now, even if we look at the reference in where this is mentioned, alayha tis'ata ashar, there are some very astounding counts of letters and the verses and so on in which this is occurring. So without going into great detail about that, we should just draw attention to the fact that some of the accounts of this individual were mistaken, whether deliberately so because he wanted to make everything fit into his pattern of 19, or by mistake. Of course, he's relying on computer equipment, and though computers have come a long way, maybe at his time they were not so developed, and and they say, a lot has to do with the person making the input as well, and so on. But in any case, some of his counts were mistaken. But after all of the dust has been settled about his counts and so on, there are other researchers who have taken up the study, and they continue to show that there are interesting patterns in the Quran, which would indicate that there is the hand of God behind the Quran. By the way, this individual also thought that he was God's messenger for the present age to reveal this information to people at a time when they needed it, in the time of a computer age. And that claim did not go down very well, because for Sunnis at least, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is the last of all of the prophets. There's not going to be a prophet or a messenger from God commissioned after him. And so his claim did not go down well with Muslims. And only a few followers of him, remained, and they've continued the mission. But Sunnis on the whole have not accepted his claim. But there are Sunnis who have continued to make such discoveries and to publicize them, such as Abdul-Daim Kahil and Bassam Jarrar of the Noon Center for Quranic Studies in Palestine.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Thank you, Dr. Shabir.
You're welcome.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Muslim Media Hub, the new home of Let the Quran Speak.
Here we spread positivity and good. We help people experience the beauty of Islam and help them appreciate and understand Muslims.
This beautiful building we purchased at cost $2.3 million.
Yeah, we've already raised a third of that money, and with your help, inshallah, we can pay off the rest.
So we're looking for people who can give $1,000 each. If you can be part of the select group, that's amazing.
Otherwise, just please give whatever you can. Every dollar counts.
It's our collective responsibility to share the message of Islam with our fellow human beings. Please help us continue this good work.
It's a sadaqah jariyah, something that will continue to be a benefit to the Muslim community long after Safiya and I are gone.
Please support our work at muslimmediahub.com.
Your support is zakat eligible and tax deductible.
May Allah bless you and your loved ones today and always. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.